So, Alien role-playing game. Core mechanics. Let's have a look. So the first thing to say is that basically this is very similar to a lot of free leg games in that it's a pool system, so you don't get massive swings the way you do with D&D, where you're rolling one dice. In this game you're rolling several dice depending on your stats. So you've got a pool based on your attributes. So you've got an attribute of 4 and something like agility. That gives you 4 dice to roll, and then it says something like ranged combat that you were rolling for, and you were a marine, so you had 3. That would be another 3 dice, and that would bring you up to 7 dice. And the idea is you roll those 7 dice, and anything that you get that's a 6, is a success. And all you need to pass generally is a success. So the way that it can be modified for difficulty is dice can be added or taken away. Now that in itself is a pretty easy system. It's quite nice because it means that basically somebody who's quite a good shot is quite a good shot virtually all the time. However, there is another mechanic which suits Alien really well, and it suits a horror setting extremely well. It's this idea of stress and panic. So basically, if you fail a roll, there are some things you can do. And one of the things that you can do is you can push that roll, you can re-roll it. But in the process, you pay a little bit of stress. And stress gets rolled at the same time. So whenever you push dice, you increase your stress level by 1. And what that means is that then you have got to start you have to add stress dice to your pool, including in this roll. So if your stress is 1, you add 1 stress dice. If your stress is 2, you add 2 stress dice. It's not really complicated. And actually, stress can be a good thing, because stress in this context means you might be able to roll, if you roll 6, those 6s count as successes. It's a good idea to keep these dice a different colour, because if you roll a 1, just one of them, you end up with a panic attack. Or with a panic, and a panic basically works as follows. You then can cause your skill roll to fail no matter how many successes you roll. I'm just reading from the book here. But also you can trigger some other problems. If your action is firing a weapon with a limited magazine, rolling 1 or more means you've emptied the magazine, in addition to making a panic roll, so you've got to reload. This is not good in some situations. Now, to give you an idea of the kind of things that can happen whenever you hit a panic, if I can get it, is there's a table, and the gist of it is that you, you roll a d6 and then you add your stress level and see what comes up on the table. And I'm just going to show you this table because it goes all the way up to 15 plus, and these are scary. So for the first ones, it can be, you keep it together, 1 to 6, no problem, you're just about holding it together. But if you get to something like 7, you get a nervous twitch, and the stress level of everybody in short range of you increases by 1. 8, you start to tremble. All skill levels using agility, so from -2, firing a weapon is an agility roll. You drop an item at 9. At 10, you freeze. Your stress level and the stress level of all friendly PCs increase by 1, and you lose your next slow action, so you lose a round. At 11, you seek cover. If you're allowed to retreat, make a retreat roll if you've engaged, and then if you're engaged at the minute, Your stress level is decreased by 1, but the stress level of all PCs increases, in short range increases by 1. At 12, you scream. You scream your lungs out for 1 round, losing your next slow action. Your stress level is decreased by 1, but every friendly character who hears your scream has to make an immediate panic roll. Do you see how this is mounting up? And at 15, you become catatonic. You can't do anything. You can get rid of stress, which is good news, and there's ways of removing it. I think one of the ways is you can basically have a 5 to 10 minute break. You can have effectively a break. Helps you to get over it a little bit. But what an awesome mechanic. So hang on, so for every full turn spent resting in a safe area that's secured from enemies, your stress level is reduced by 1 point. You cannot make any skill rolls by resting, and if your rest is interrupted, it doesn't count. But what an awesome mechanic in a game about Alien. You know, this is fantastic. So basically, you have to be constantly thinking, whenever it comes to it, do I really want to push that roll? Do I not want to push that roll? Because if I push that roll, I increase my stress levels. And also, you're going to be trying to keep your party cautious. It's going to ramp up the tension whenever people start to take risks, because you know that if they take a risk and they get a bad roll, your stress levels can go up, which means that you start to make bad rolls and it can all just run out of control. It is a phenomenal mechanic in the game, and I love it. I absolutely love it. You might be able to spot that by the way I'm talking about it, but it's brilliant. I think I adore that little mechanic. I think it's great. And as a whole, this is what I think is great about this game. It captures that fear, that tension, that sense of, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? And the tension will build. This is another thing that's really good about that stress mechanic. You start out with very little stress, but as that stress builds, and most GMs that I know build each session to a climax, build each point to the big boss. If your stress levels are high whenever you meet that big boss, whenever you hit that critical situation that makes that session, you're not probably going to get out of there alive, because you roll the panic. In that context, it could be life-threatening. I'm loving the Alien RPG, much the same as I love so much of that Free League are doing at the moment. But I really like this. We're doing a lot of RPGs at the minute on the channel, and we will be doing lots more for the foreseeable future. It'd be great if you came on board and you subscribed, and the button should be, now I have to get this right, it's either this side or that side, it's somewhere down here. I'm not that slick, but it's somewhere here there's a button that says subscribe. This is me being, I don't know, Wonder Woman. But yeah, there's a button somewhere, and you can basically subscribe. It'd be brilliant to have you on board. We also have got some t-shirts and Teespring. There's a link down in the description as well, and please buy them. Every time somebody buys a t-shirt, we get a little bit of money that we can pump back into buying product and staying completely independent and doing lots of videos. So yeah, it would be lovely to have you on board, and as ever, please like, share, comment and subscribe, and have a lovely evening. Good night.